Now, the cover-up of Biden's cognitive decline is quickly becoming the biggest White House scandal of our lifetime. Again, who knew what? What did they know? When did they know it? And who is really in charge? You all deserve answers. Our good friend Stephen A. Smith grilling Jake Tapper over his new book after Tapper was himself complicit in the cover-up for years. Take a look.
You talk of people on the left, in all likelihood, who feel betrayed by the book because, oh, my Lord, it's calling out the Biden administration and what was transpiring at that time. They say this book is a money grab. What do you say to people on either side of the aisle who make those accusations about you at this particular moment in time?
No, our only agenda was to find out what happened. Our only agenda was to write this book. And in terms of the left, it's a money grab. I mean, that's not the case. It's not. This is. I don't want to get into where my money comes from, but I'm. CNN is my main job, and that's where my main source of income by far. Very few people write books to make money. You write a book because you want to say something, you want to have a legacy.
And what's even more alarming, according to Tapper, not a single one of his sources for the book expressed any regret or remorse over their role in the scandal. Anyway, here now with reaction. He is the host of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Stephen A., I hate to do this. I've got to compliment you. I really do. I hate to start an interview in a nice way, but you did a great job, and you're honest, and you're asking the right questions. Here's the problem with Jake. We started reporting on this show in 2019, Joe's cognitive decline. You watch my show. We played tape after tape after tape after tape after tape. Anybody with eyes to see knew. He didn't cover it. He excoriated Laura Trump. His network didn't cover it. And now he's making money off the deal. Reaction.
Well, first of all, he apologized for it. He said he called Laura Trump to apologize, which obviously she deserved. Okay, that's fine. And I'm not here to defend Jake Tapper. I don't know him. I've met him a couple of times. I've been interviewed by him a couple of times. I interviewed him yesterday on my show, and that's as far as our relationship goes. But you guys who are aficionados in the political stratosphere are more apt to question and to judge accordingly. And I'm not here to refute that. What I would say to you, however, is that I don't cover politics. I was covering sports. And 2 years before the election, almost 2 years before the election, I was pointing the finger at Joe Biden and what I saw. To me, if you had two eyes and you could see, you saw what the hell was going on here. You saw debilitation kicking in. You saw, not incapacitated, but pretty damn close. He just didn't seem like himself. And you knew something was fishy was going on. And I think that right now, as everybody looks to Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson and their book, Original Sin, I think the biggest thing to peel from that are the culprits within the Democratic Party who knew about the cognitive decline far more up close than you, myself, or many, many other American citizens knew. And they were not only complicit, but were willing to circumvent the Constitution of the United States. They were willing to shove aside the wishes of American voters. They understood what the system entails. They wanted to bypass a primary. They wanted to bypass elements of the democratic process in order to ensure that their guy was in office instead of Donald Trump. And to me, when you've walked around as a party labeling Donald Trump an existential threat for years, and then a book comes out detailing how several people within the administration and within the Democratic Party may have been guilty of this instead of Trump, I find that to be incredibly alarming, and it's something. Usually, I'm getting on you for how dogged you are and relentless and persistent you are with your takes on the Democratic Party, Sean. But you will not get a dissenting word from me. I think hell needs to rain down upon anybody that was complicit involved in anything.
You can say it. You could say Sean Hannity was right,
Hold on. Hold on. First of all, welcome back to the States. I know you overseas. You sitting there chilling and having a good time for a little while. But now that you're back talking to me, let's be very, very clear.
I gave you time to talk. Hannity, you whine and bitch and moan if I don't give you time.
Watch your language. You don't need to use that language over the national airways on primetime television. Watch
I actually do.
The point I'm making to you, Sean, is this. What exactly is it that you were right about? Tell me what you want me to say that you were right about, and I'll tell you if you're right.
About Joe Biden's cognitive decline. I was also right about go back and look at fake Jake and his coverage of of the Russia hoax with the dirty Russian disinformation dossier that Hillary Clinton paid for that was totally debunked. Watch his coverage. Go back and watch it. Watch his coverage or lack thereof of FISA abuse that used the bulk of information to lie to FISA judges. They use that dirty dossier. Look at the double standard of coverage when it comes to top secret classified information. Mar-a-Lago gets raided. 4 locations of Joe Biden. Hillary Clinton bleach pit and hammers and SIM cards removed. Look at the double standard, the ridiculous valuation of Mar-a-Lago. Look at the Letitia James, Alvin Bragg connection. Let's run on a policy of we're going to get Trump. And nobody said a word on these networks. They're going to write books and make money on that next? Because they all lied.
Couple of things. Number one, nobody's in a position to refute a single word you just uttered. I certainly am not just because I don't know the intimate details of everything, but you do, and many, many others who cover this for a living have, and they detail folks on the right detailed it just the same way you did, just not as relentlessly, not as consistently, and they weren't first the way that you were on many of those occasions. So kudos to you when you bring that stuff up. Hold on, no, I'm talking about the people on the right. I was talking about the folks on the right. I said, secondly, no need to call them fake, Jake. Just sit up there and say you're Sean Hannity and you're number one, and they're not. It's just that simple. No need to engage in name calling. Don't do that. Number to stop that.
He's fake.
Number three, here's the deal. Unfortunately, Sean, and listen, you have to confess to this. If you are a conservative, you're going to lean towards favoring them and not favoring the left, and the left is going to be lean towards favoring the left as opposed to the right. That's one of the things that people lament. I have a history of calling out
Republicans that I can give you a laundry list of that, and I'm going to give you another example. I was right about Richard Jewell. I was right about Duke Lacrosse. I was right about UVA. I was right about Ferguson, Missouri. I was right about Freddie Gray in Baltimore.
When you were right
and
about
they were all
things.
wrong, and they all rushed to judgment. We have a problem. Although the problem's going away because nobody believed them in the election.
Well, listen, here's the problem now. You just finished talking about, by the way, you had a great guest on, and I love that last line the young lady put out when she talked about the Democratic Party and how they're supposed to be looking out for the people. They're looking out for themselves. I forgot the exact quote that she gave, but it was very poignant. I will say this to you. When you look at the state of affairs right now, I'm looking at Newsweek just a few days ago. Trump is gaining traction within the Democratic Party. Black voters, young voters. He did it during the election, but it seems to be the trajectory seems to be going in a forward direction. You pointed to the mayor of Chicago and his stance and how counterproductive that appears to be. You showed Jasmine Crockett. They haven't realized yet that if it's AOC or it's Jasmine Crockett, there's a reason Sean Hannity shows them every chance he gets. He wants them to be illuminated. He wants them to be front and center for the Democratic Party because it will ensure that the Republicans are going to win in 2026 and 2028. I'm just saying.
I'm not hiding it.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I got you. I'm not faulting you for it. I'm simply saying it shows you how tone deaf they are because their focus seems to be on doing anything, being the antithesis of Trump instead of helping to govern the country. And when the book comes out and that stuff is revealed, it makes it even worse.
I'm waiting for the day you come back on this show and say, Hannity, you were right about Donald Trump. He did a good job. Stephen A., we love you. Appreciate you.
Excuse me. There's some things that he might be doing good.
I got to go.
He ain't doing everything wrong. Not everything. All right.
We love you. All right. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.